Episode 5 of The Ones Who Live has just dropped on AMC Plus, and I had to get on here and just talk about it. So hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Overpowered Entertainment, where we discuss, live, breathe everything that deals with geek culture, and that includes The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. Okay, this episode is called Become, which I'm sure you already know is a callback to Michonne's episode in which she left, which is called What We Become. The previous episode was called What We. So in this episode, there's a bit going on here that I wanted to discuss. The main thing is that had me really screaming my head off is that Father Gabriel is in this episode. And he has the whole thing going on with Jadis, where he is, I guess, acting as a confidant for her, not fully, and gearing her up for her redemption arc, which I will admit I am not a fan of that. I want a villain to sometimes just be a villain, you know. We don't need to have their backstory and have it be sad and the cuckoo. Sometimes I just want them to be a villain. Not a sad villain, just a villain, you know, but whatever. So he's in this, and the first thing that we see him doing is responding or seeing a helicopter and almost getting eaten by a walker. He ends up taking that walker out and looks up to the sky, and that is his introduction. After this scene, we have the opening credits, and then we have Michonne basically having a second-ish honeymoon. Like, I don't know how to explain that. I don't know. It's like a honeymoon. It's a callback to Say Yes when they went on their trip. Ooh, I'm sorry, I just thought about that. Say Yes when they went on a trip to look for guns for Jadis. And they had, a little bit of rendezvous going on during that time. And we're having that again in this. Just a little more romantic and not necessarily as horny as it was originally in Say Yes. So we get to see them together, just looking for stuff, looking for food, finding things, having a good time with each other, while also we have a moment that while they're driving, Rick is looking down at the phone that Michonne gave him, and we have the music playing. I don't know what the song is called right now, but basically around that time, the lyrics say something along the lines that when you wake up, the dream is over. I don't know, something like that. So to me, that was a clue that we already knew, because it's The Walking Dead, that things were not going to remain, super romantic, super great. We knew it was going to get to a point where there had to be actual conflict. We had conflict before, but the conflict had to return to be an external one and not an internal one like we dealt with in the previous episode. So, okay, and then after that whole montage that we have, they end up at a souvenir shop, and they have the license plates there, and Rick is like, oh, well, Michonne bumps it like she has a little bit of attitude about it. He's like, oh, you don't like these license plates? He's like, no, they never have my name, which is true. I have a very common name, so I usually find something, but yeah, that would be, that could be irritating. But Rick continues to look through it, and he sees Junior on one of the license plates, and he's like, will RJ like this? Is this a good gift for him? And Michonne's like, no one calls him Junior. And I'm like, well, maybe Rick could call him Junior. Maybe that could be their thing, maybe that's what we could have between them. But, he puts it down, and he sees the name Michelle, and he breaks the rest of the he keeps the M but breaks off the rest of the name on a necklace, so it's just the M on the necklace, and he tucks it with the idea of giving it to Michonne later. They discover that there's a cabin nearby, and they found a key to the cabin, and they're like, yay, we found some place to stay tonight, you know. So then they go off and they start talking about Thorne, about how uptight she is. Rick gave Michonne Thorne's backstory, and I'm not sure why from a story standpoint, because the audience already knows this information. So I'm trying to understand from a character standpoint, why does Michonne need to understand Thorne? So I really think in the next episode, there has to be something going on there. I don't know if it's to remind the audience of Thorne's backstory, because we are going to be in episode 6, most likely when we see Thorne again. But most likely I think it's for a character reason. And I'm not sure. So I'm curious what that is going to mean for Michonne or Rick coming up into episode 6. Okay, so they continue to walk towards the cabin, and they come across a group of survivors who are dealing with a zombie. Well, walkers. Dealing with walkers. And they save them. I'm not gonna lie, this is like my favorite scene of the entire episode right here. Yes, more so than the proposal that we got at the end. And because I was just like, really? You gonna propose right after what you just did? But okay, I mean, you guys are still lovey-dovey. But in this scene, we have with the survivors, they save them. Michonne gives them chips like, hey, you guys look hungry. And they're like, yeah, we did our good Samaritan deed, so we're gonna walk off. And one of the survivors like, not so fast. And they pull guns out on him. It's like, yeah, you gave us this and that was nice, but we need everything you got. So Rick is like, oh, it's Michonne. Michonne was like, you know what? We can run this back. You can take it back. And Rick was like, yeah, we can just pretend this never happened. And then giving them a way out, right? And the survivor's like, no. And I'm sorry. The reason why this is my favorite scene in this particular episode is if you look closely at Rick and Michonne's face, you see the moment in which they decide they're going to F these people up. Okay. We see the switch turn, and Rick, he has like a tick that he gets, while he's looking at the two guys, and Michonne, her lightness in her face kind of drops and she gets into a serious expression. So I was just like, I love that before they take them out. Well, disarm them, take their weapons, and basically take everything. Michonne's like, you know what? You don't deserve the noodles that we gave you. We gave you noodles, and now we're taking them back. And Rick is like, really? We're taking it? She's like, yeah, we're taking this. So I love it. That scene of them just being one. I just love that. Because it's like a smidge, just a tiny bit of like murder Rick. I know he didn't kill anybody. I know he's on his like, I'm happy. I'm on vacation. I don't really want to be out here doing this. But we got a little bit of it with his like little twitch. Like, I'm sorry. Murder Rick is my favorite Rick. I mean, he's one of my favorites. So we got a smidgen of him, and I'm hoping to see more of him next episode, as long as it's not because of something happening to Michonne. Like, I need him to have that Murder Rick come back. Anyway, so we have all of this going on. Man, then they go back to the cabin. They go to the cabin, and Rick is like, here's some booze, here's some toothpaste, the toothpaste you wanted, which is a callback to, what episode is that? Season 6. Is it after? No, it's not after. I can't remember, but it's the episode where Michonne and Rick get together. And he's like, oh, I got your toothpaste. See, your spearmint and baking soda toothpaste. And he got some alcohol. He got some candles set up. And Michonne's like, babe, like, what you trying to do right now? He's like, I'm working with what I got right now. And And they have like a bit of a romantic moment here. And the main thing that we are seeing in this particular scene is that while they are still in their honeymoon phase, there is someone that is currently hunting them. And that person, of course, is Jadis. So it's like your cocoon is about to be burst. So we had a little bit of it happen with the travelers. Like, okay, we're starting to wake you up, ground you to reality. They were the introduction of that. And now this is for the audience to know, like, yeah, this little cocoon they got is about to be cracked open completely. So we have that going on. We have more flashbacks to Jadis. So, like I said, basically, Jadis and Gabriel are having discussions about her morality, essentially her conflict with her guilt. But she is still for the CRM and she believes in the cause, even though she doesn't agree. She doesn't understand the actions. Like I said, this really feels like a little, we have real life examples of this type of thing. And I'm just like, she feels like she's part of a group that needs to be taken out. Like, she bought into it. Her reasoning for being brought into it, they go into a bit later. But essentially, all of their conversations amount to her feeling guilty about the CRM, what they do, but also believing in what the CRM does, like what the ultimate goal is, and that she believes in the plan. So there you go. So I'm not going to talk about their scenes anymore. I don't appreciate them. I hate that they kissed. I literally screamed. No, I'm not a fan of Jadis and Gabriel together at all. I don't think I'm gonna leave this alone before I get in my feelings about Jadis and Gabriel. Anyway, so she decides, like, yeah, I got there last night. She was nice enough to let them, bang it out one more time, which I don't understand. She let them bang it out one more time, like, okay, wine and dine each other, fall asleep. She was there this entire time. And then she decides at the crack of dawn to be like, wake up. And this is a callback to the episode after they first get together, which is, I think, a whole new world or a new world or something like that. It's season 6, episode 11. No. I would say not season 6, episode 11, still season 6, episode 10, where Jesus comes into the room and wakes them up. And they still got it. They popped up with their weapons ready to attack, but Jadis had 2 guns on them. Like, no, we're not about to do that. She has them tie themselves up with zip ties. It's like, yeah, I just, you know what? Hold on, I'm sorry. She plans on killing them, like fully plans on committing to killing them. But I just found it funny how disrespectful Michonne and Rick was throughout that entire sequence, because she's pointing a gun at them like, yeah, what it is, we about to do this, and Rick and Michonne are just sitting there talking like, yeah, she ain't got nobody with her, we could definitely take her. And she's like, I'm right here, like, yeah, she here and everything, but she messed up by not taking us out early. I really feel like we could kill her. Like, this is the conversation that they are having in front of her. This is them having no F's to give. Like, they ran out of F's to give, and that's the only thing I'm seeing. Especially Michonne definitely ran out of F's to give. But Jace's like, yeah, I want to thank you for allowing me to tell you that, I don't know, I don't want to leave anything left unsaid between us, which amounted to nothing, because I'm like, what did you actually say? I'm like, ultimately, what does she actually have to say to them outside of your deaths mean that by killing you, it means that Alexandria will live? You could have shot me for all of that. Like, I did not need to hear that. This did not give me any insight on anything. Thank you, no thank you. So she attempts to shoot them, and they, of course, like, dodge her. They dodge her bullets. I mean, to be clear, it's a very difficult shot to have 2 guns pointed in 2 different directions and trying to aim both of them at the same time. So I'm like, okay, Not exactly surprised by that. But they managed to get loose. Rick flips the bid on her. And Michonne grabs her hatchet that she planned on giving, a little tiny axe that she planned on giving to RJ, and slices, what's her name? Jadis's torso. Okay. So Jadis is now mortally wounded, and she's like, okay, she has to get out of here. And Michonne was like, you know what? I got this gun. My hands are still zip tied, but I plan on shooting you this day. You are dying. And Rick knocks her, pushes Michonne so she doesn't kill her. She's like, Rick, like, what are you doing? We need to kill her. He's like, no, which is understandable. And then the car chase happens. And Michonne is there, and she's like, you know what? We're gonna kill this girl. We're gonna kill her. We're gonna kill her dead for all the things that she has taken from us. You missed the birth of our son. You missed his first steps. She tore our family apart. I didn't know whether or not you were alive or dead. Our children grew up without you, had years without you. So she is dying. And it's like, but if we do that, how are we going to protect Alexandria? She's like, we'll figure it out. And I was like, Michonne, I know you're heated right now, but this is not it. But I have complete faith that Rick would bring her to reason with that, because I understand being blinded by rage in that moment, especially considering all Jadis has done up until that point. So they continue the car chase. What's her name? Jadis crashes her car, and then Rick and Michonne go on a hunt for her, and she runs across the previous 3 survivors that Rick and Michonne came across at the beginning of the episode, and convinces them to assist her. They try to ambush Rick and Michonne inside of like a warehouse type of place, but they are quickly dispatched. Not by, I don't know, I wouldn't even really blame Rick and Michonne for their deaths. It just was like, hey, we knocked you down, and then zombies came out of nowhere, killed one of you, bit one of you, and then the other 2 jumped in a a grouping of zombies, and they all died. So now it's just Jadis with Rick and Michonne and the zombies, right? Jadis is really talking her ish, talking about, you can't kill me, I'm above all this. You know, either you gonna die, I'm gonna die, and if I die, Alexandria dies, so which one you're picking? And I knew from the trailer for this episode that when Michonne said, I see it now, this doesn't end with us going home, I was like, there's no way. There is no way that Michonne doesn't have the goal of getting back home. There's something else here. This is out of context. I don't understand, but that ain't it, right? So she's basically saying that so Jace will overhear that, and they come up with a plan to like, hey, look, take me back, Rick. Take Rick back to the CRM. Let Michonne leave. Protect Alexandria, and we will make sure you get medical attention. We will assist you to the jump point, right? And just like, sure. And then, of course, she double crosses them, but Michonne was ready for that. And she popped up behind her like, no, I got a gun too. You're not about to double cross us. And Jake's like, oh, so you double crossing my double cross? And I'm like, yes, we're double dutching. Like, that's what we're doing. And it was pretty great. Like, that whole, scene. Jada's still acting like she is above it all, because she tested Michonne earlier, like, you're not going to kill me because if I die, your kids die. And she sat there and was going to let walkers eat her. And then Michonne was like, pop, 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 saved her, like, from the walkers. But she tested Michonne again. And this time, Michonne didn't have the gun to go pop, pop, pop. She only could get a couple of them, and them walkers ate Jadis. They was feasting on her. I'm like, what was the point of the neck protection if it's not protecting the neck? CRM of the suit, like the uniform, like what was that? It was I would understand more if they bit her face. They bit her neck where she's supposed to have, protection. I'm just like, what was the point of that? So Jadis is bit now. She's like, oh, I'm really Anne. I'm not Jadis. And because of who I am, I'm going to tell you where my dossier is, and you guys could go there and get it. Just promise not to attack the CRM. Girl, okay, so Michonne was like, no, we're going to attack them. We're going to bring them down. Yeah, we're going to do that because they are not the answer. We're going to get the dossier as well. So you can die knowing that you failed. At the very least, Alexandria will be safe. And I'm like, Michonne, I appreciate the coldness, okay? And then Jadis is like, well, Rick, why don't you keep your promise? And Rick is like, you could tell that Rick didn't want to actually shoot her, but he did. And I can understand, like, what Father Gabriel said, which was, essentially, Rick called Jadis one of us. So she's supposed to be like an Alexandrian, pretty much an honorary Alexandrian. I don't really accept her, but apparently Rick did. And, you know, he's killing one of his people in a way, right? He's killing the person who saved him, who also held him captive. So it's a complex, you know, it's complex emotions there. Whereas Michonne, there is no complexity there. It's like a FU. And I'm okay with that for both of them. One more thing I forgot to mention. Father Gabriel gave Jadis a wedding ring because Rick had confided in him that he wanted to marry Michonne. And he found the wedding ring by the bridge or something like that. He was like, yeah, I wanted to give this to Rick. Or he found the wedding ring, period. And he wanted to give it to Rick in order to... I mean, he thought of Rick and he wanted to give it to him. Maybe this could have been the ring that he could have given to Michonne when they got married. And he was thinking they could have got married by the bridge. But that never happened. But anyway, so before Jason dies, she gives Rick the ring. It's like, yeah, Father Gabriel was like, you want to get married to Michonne, right? So here you go. And he's like, okay. So yeah, then they shoot her. After that scene, they are out walking and they're heading towards the jump point in order to get back to the CRM in order to handle business. Woo, I'm telling you, I'm nervous. I am nervous because, okay, I was all for extracting Rick. I'm all for going there specifically to get the dossier and then to get out. I don't know if I'm for taking down the CRM with just the two of them. And the main reason why is because they don't have a plan outside of finding out what the echelon briefing is. Like, I mean, Rick knows the layout of the building, so that's great. That's about it. He doesn't know anything else. I don't know. Maybe they'll... I have no idea what they're going to do in order to overthrow them outside of blowing up the summit. I mean, we had a lot of allusion to fire. We had the Sea of Walkers parting. We had Nate's fires. So I don't know if they're going to use walkers to... I'm sorry. Another idea came into my mind. But I don't know if they're going to use walkers to attack the summit. If they're simply going to blow it up, because we've seen fire a lot. We also have two different mentions of how they disperse walkers, both from Nat and from Cleo explaining it to Michonne. So I have no idea what they're actually planning on doing, and that is bothersome to me. It's really risky, especially given the fact that I don't know about Thorne and her attachment issues to the CRM. We already talked about how she's uptight. Are we going to find out how uptight she is? Okay, she says she doesn't miss. Is she going to miss this time? Rick already got a gunshot to the head this episode, Grace. But I'm just like, I'm a little nervous about them going in. I want them both to survive, and I want a season 2. If they blow up the summit, I don't see how... If they blow... I don't know. I want a season 2. So I don't know how I could get a season 2, but also get what I want, which is them to reunite with their children. Okay? So I am conflicted. I can admit to that. But anyway, while they're walking to the jump point, Rick turns to Michonne. He's like, I've been wanting to do this for a while, and he proposes. And it's very, I thought it was just like them getting married essentially, but in the after discussions, Gimple said that this was supposed to be a marriage proposal, but I'm like, I felt like they were getting married because they had vows. So, but I mean, it's a marriage proposal. Michonne, of course, accepts, and this is supposed to be their last sweet moment before Ish hits the fan, apparently. So, I don't know how Ish is going to hit the fan, and I'm very nervous about that. So, anyway, that is the recap for this episode 5 of season 1, hopefully, of The Ones Who Live. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you right now. If we do not get a season 2, this is just too good. Okay, look, I want a season 2, and I want season 12 of The Walking Dead with Rick and Michonne back. I know it's over, and I know it's not going to happen, but I still want it. Or I want The Ones Who Live to become like the new flagship show where everybody slowly starts to migrate into it, and then it grows from being just a Rick and Michonne love story, and that could be like the theme of season 1, and season 2 can expand to other stuff. That's what I just want more. This has revitalized my love of The Walking Dead, like immensely. So anyway, that's it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. What was your favorite scene in the episode? What are you looking forward to in episode 6? I don't know what's going to happen, but I know it's going to be good.